Hey, travel fans, welcome back to RTE-Travel Talk, Ask a Real Travel Expert, the show that talks to travel professionals around the world. Today, I have a very special episode. We're taking a look at Secrets of the Nile and Egypt with AmaWaterways. If you enjoy this journey with us today, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button so you'll never miss an episode. And if this video's got you inspired, make sure you give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel out. We'd also love to have you join the conversation. Drop a comment below about your experience, ask a question, or request a future topic or interviewee. We welcome all comments and suggestions. Thanks for being part of our travel community, whether you're a longtime fan or just dropping by. We really appreciate it. Now, let's keep exploring together and on with the show. My special guest today to help me explore the secrets of Egypt and the Nile with AmaWaterways is Lola Vassiliadis. Lola and her team of expert travel advisors have been meeting the needs of their clients in and around Ontario and across the continent since 1997. Hi, Lola. Welcome back to RTE Travel Talk.
Good morning. Thank you. It's always a pleasure being with you, Ken.
Lola, it's really great to have you back, and I'm excited to talk to you about this today because you and George were on a river cruise that I'm very familiar with, and that is the secrets of Egypt and the Nile with AmaWaterways. And there's a lot of interest in that. So I was hoping today we could spend some time reviewing how you folks found it, give our viewers and listeners some tips for possibly going to Egypt and what you thought of the cruise itself. How's that sound?
Oh, it sounds great. I'm more than anxious to share this with you because it really was a bucket list experience.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. Haven't been there, done that, and got the t-shirt. So
Yeah.
why don't you give our viewers and listeners a kind of an overview of the vacation?
With AmaWaterways, it basically is a 7-day cruise on the Nile.
Right.
And there was a 3-day pre in Cairo and 1 night post in Cairo. So it turns out to be an 11-day trip. And George and we always go in ahead of time.
Yeah.
And I am so glad we did because by the time we flew Toronto, London to Cairo, and then, you go through the procedures and you're pretty exhausted by the time you reach your hotel. So you really need that time, that extra day to give you that break and get acclimatized and back to where you should be.
It definitely makes for a long day.
The St. Regis Hotel that Ama uses was fabulous. It was so good.
I know. It's just amazing.
It was fabulous. Something that a lot of people don't know, which is a good tip, the hotel has a program that for 150 US, you can have a limo for 3 hours. Takes you wherever you want to go. If you want to go shopping, whatever you want to do. And if you don't want to spend 150 for 95 US, they have a Honda sedan for, again, 3 hours, and it'll take you where you want to go.
What people wouldn't realize about that is that's absolutely a fabulous deal because
Yes.
you step outside that door to try to go somewhere in Cairo with the traffic the way it is, right, like that, and that to get chauffeured around would be fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Well, we wanted to go to the market, to the bazaar, because what they have on the cruise is a galabaya party.
Yeah.
And everybody wears a galabaya, the men and the women. So we wanted to get a jump on it and go to the bazaar. And I'm so glad that we used that service because the driver came with us into the bazaar and he took us to the right areas. He said, this is a good place you can shop. This is reputable. They won't rip you off.
But one of the good things about the pre that I found with AmaWaterways was they really take care of you. You put yourself in their hands and everything is kind of looked after. It was great that you and George had the ability to take that limo driver. That's probably outside of what Ama offered, but even what they have is fantastic.
Right. It's something that the hotel offers, and not everybody would think of that.
So tell me a little bit about your pre in Cairo. You had 3 days?
We had 3 days, and we did the usual. We went to the pyramids and the Sphinx, and people had the opportunity to ride camels if they wanted to ride camels. And we went to the museum. Now the museum, I have to mention that the old museum, you don't see as much there right now.
No, I wouldn't expect.
Because they've taken a lot of the displays from the old museum. They're in storage, waiting till they can put them in the new museum. And there's no word yet when it's actually officially going to open.
Okay, so when were you there exactly?
We were there the end of September, first week of October.
So the new museum still is not open at this point.
They had a soft opening. You
Yeah,
can go into the lobby area.
right.
There are some shops there that you can go to,
Yeah.
but the displays are not open.
Okay. So did you actually get to both the old museum and the new
No,
museum? So you were just
no, we didn't have time.
okay.
We only had time to get to the old museum.
Okay. Well, they kind of mentioned that to us when we were there as well. But what we found is even with not all of the displays, some of the displays being in storage, you could still spend like 2 days at that museum. It's amazing
Yeah,
the stuff that's there. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you still are able to get a good, strong feeling
Yeah.
of all the artifacts that are there.
So you would have done that on day one and then the pyramids the following day?
Yes, we did them the following day.
What were some of the highlights of your 3 day stay in Cairo?
The thing that really sticks with me is just the overall how Ama and the local company did everything. It was so well managed, so well done. So that was one of the things that I really appreciated. If you haven't been to the pyramids before, that really is a highlight of the trip. And of course, like I said, riding the camels. A lot of people seem to do that and get a lot of fun out of that.
Yes, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. It was fun once.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You do have to be careful because they do try to not rip you off, but they try to get you onto the camel or take pictures with them in the camel.
Yeah.
And if you're not savvy, you just go ahead and take the picture, and then they don't let you get away until you pay them
Yeah.
for taking the picture.
Actually, I found on that. You're right. You're right about that. What was great with the guides with AmaWaterways is they kept an eye on you in that for that sort of thing.
Yeah,
If they thought somebody was getting ripped off, they were right there to step in and say, no, 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 you don't pay him
yeah.
or don't do this or don't do that. So they were really, really good that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There was one spot we were at, and I wanted to use the bathroom
Yeah.
facilities. And I went over, and there was a guy sitting there, and he wanted money.
Yep.
And I said, well, I don't have any money with me. I think I had some US. And I said, can I pay you in US? No, has to be the local currency. And he was really arguing with me. And I thought, this is ridiculous. I said, okay, never mind. I says, I'm going to go back to the bus. I'm going to get
Yeah.
our guide. No, 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 don't get guide. It's okay. You go ahead.
That exact same thing
Yeah,
happened to several of the ladies that were on our tour. Most people are good-hearted. They pay. In this particular case, it was a woman, so they paid her, right? And then
hmm
happened to mention it to the guide. Well, the guide just went crazy.
yeah.
She went back and she took a strip off that woman and got their money back. Anyway,
So,
those are just
yeah,
some of the things that you're going to run into over there.
yeah, it's a different culture. It's a different,
Very
it's
much so.
not what we're used to over here.
Yeah.
But as long as you're aware of what's going to happen, there's no problem. I will mention this, and this is important. When we took the 2-day pre with Ama, before that, I mean, I checked out. We could have done the hotel
Right.
ourselves and arranged a pickup at the airport, etc. We wouldn't have saved a lot of money. And I said to George, just for convenience, let's let Amma take care of it. I was so glad we did because as soon as we got off the plane, there was an AMA rep there,
Yep.
and they took us through the whole procedure, going through passport control, going through all the security, everything, getting our luggage. When you're in a country like that, even though we've been there before, so we're a bit more familiar with it.
Yep.
But people who've never been there, travelers who've never gone, that's going to be really overwhelming for them.
It sure
But
is.
having the AMA person there
Yeah.
that just takes your hand and walks you through the whole bit, I mean, it was so comforting and so quick, and then took us to the hotel. Even at the hotel, he says, just can I have your passports? Go sit down over there on the couch. He went up to the desk with our passports, checked us in, did everything, came back with our keys.
Yeah.
And we sat on the couch and had a cup of tea.
Yeah. I'm gonna jump ahead to the end here because what you just
Yep.
relayed to me, I gotta tell you our story. We had the same experience going in as you did, but also when we left, we had to catch our flight, and I think because most folks were going U.S. Airways. We were flying back to Canada. So I think we were the only two people, and we were a little bit worried. We're at the hotel and we're waiting for the guy. Somebody's going to take us. Somebody's going to say, "Well, where is he? Where is he?" No, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. And finally, this gentleman showed up, and we got in the vehicle, and away we went. And he took us to the airport. He got out of the car. He came right into the airport. Told us to wait here. Took our passports. I just said to Deb, "We may never get out of here." Anyway, he comes back. He was gone probably 10 minutes to find the right place, and he came back and he guided us exactly where we needed to go, helped us through the security line, went
Yeah.
through, and I think we're just about set to go to the gate. He finally said, okay. He at that point he was happy. They're
Yeah.
going to get where they're going to go. He shook our hands, and we thanked the man profusely because
Yeah.
it took all of the stress off of not knowing where to go and what to do when you're trying to get
Yeah.
home.
And it's crazy in the Cairo airport,
Yeah.
the security that you go through,
Oh,
it is absolutely nuts.
yep.
Really, you go through maybe two, sometimes three
Yep.
different security places. And some people, when they went through the first security, they had to go over and sign a book and put their passport number and all kinds of stuff in.
Oh, yes.
I mean, yeah, if you're not aware of that,
Yeah.
you could really lose your cool
Yeah.
after about the second security.
You don't want to do that there.
No, you don't want to do that there, but it's a bit trying.
So 3 days in Cairo, and then we're off to the
Mm,
ship. Tell me
yes.
about this brand new ship, the AmaLilia, and let's talk about the cruise.
She's a nice ship. If you're used to European ships, it's quite different. It's a local type of decor. It's not what I expected, kind of. And the cabins are small compared to the European river cruises. That's first thing we noticed when we got into our cabin was, wow, ooh, this is a little tight. You get used to it very quickly. Next morning, you don't even think about it, you know.
No.
But having said that, they had good storage. I was quite surprised. They do have 4 suites on board that were really large and very, very nice. Very nice. Had a separate bedroom area, had a living room area, had a table where you could eat at. So that was quite nice. The sun deck, I think it's the best sun deck I have seen on any river cruise ship. It was beautiful.
Yep.
It was absolutely stunning, really. And it's a shame because it was so hot out that nobody could go up there during the day because even though parts of it were covered and they had fans, it was still so hot that you couldn't sit out there and enjoy it. But if you went at a different time of year when it's cooler, that would be a fabulous place and everybody would be up there having a great time. And there is a pool, tables and loungers and the whole bit.
I'm curious, do you recall what your daytime temperatures were?
When we were in Cairo, it was in the 90s. And then the further south you went, the warmer it got. By the time we got down to Abu Simbel, it was well over 105, 110.
That's
Yeah,
interesting because we were there I think the last 2 weeks of September in 22, and the temperatures were very similar.
yeah,
Very similar. 90s.
yeah.
It touched over
Mhm.
100 in some of these places easily. It wasn't unusual to see 40, 42, 43 centigrade, and that's hot.
I don't want to scare people away from this
Oh
because I
no.
personally don't like the heat.
Yeah.
But you know what? You make sure you have lots of sunscreen.
Yep.
You carry your water, have a hat on, even have an umbrella. And I have learned I'm going to buy myself one of those umbrellas that is black on the outside and silver on the inside, and it just stops the sun from coming through. So it's like you're standing in shade at all times. So as long as you take, not the precautions, but take steps to make sure that you're going to be comfortable, it's fine. And it is worth it. What you're going to
Oh
see
gosh,
is
yes.
just mind blowing.
In
It's
the
just mind blowing. You can't think that so many years ago that these people were able to do this.
Yeah, no, it's just incredible.
Yeah,
And talking about the heat, it's not really this. At least for us here, it's not really the same kind of heat. It's a
no,
really really dry heat. It's hot,
but
but
it's not humid.
it's not. Yeah, it's not humid. You can be out there in that dry heat, and you're not really ever going to break a sweat. I'm just thinking
Absolutely.
my experience in Zanzibar. It was hot, but man, it was humid. You were just wringing within about 2 minutes of being outside.
Yes. Yeah.
So how'd you find the service on
So
board AmaLilia?
when it came to the dining room,
Mm-hmm.
they tried hard. They did a good job. However, because the ship had only come into service in April, so
Right.
she's still fairly new and the team is fairly new. Maitre d' and the head waiters, their English was much better than the people who were just serving you. So if you asked them for certain things, there was a bit of an issue with the language. Then they would turn around and send somebody over to us who had better English so we could let them know what it is that we wanted. At times, the service was a little slow, especially in the evening. I'll put that down to this. Our sailing was the first sailing that they had that many passengers on board.
Okay.
So I think it was a little new for them having that many people having to serve at the same time.
Yeah.
They're learning. They're enthusiastic and they're lovely people. Really, really nice people. Other than those little things, it was great.
Yeah.
The cruise manager, fabulous.
Really?
He was so good.
Yeah.
And he had everything under control and he kept us up to date on anything that was going on. The Egyptologists, oh my goodness, those people, they knew their stuff. They knew anything that has to do with the history of Egypt. I don't know how long they go to school for that, but boy, did they know what they were talking about.
And
Very good. And very good English.
that's what you're looking for when you want to do this
Yeah.
vacation, because you're there to experience the history.
Yes. Yes.
When we were with them, there wasn't a lot of onboard entertainment. What there was fun. How did you find the entertainment on board?
You're right, there isn't. Aside from the one evening where they brought on the belly dancers, and and George was sitting right there, and the belly dancer at times got so close to him, he had to tell her to back up so he could take proper pictures. And I said, before you show this to our 18-year-old grandson, you're going to have to edit this. So the belly dancers were good. And then they had one of those spinning.
The whirling dervish.
That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Whirling dervish. He was good.
Yeah.
And then after that, the party began. Everybody was in their galabeas. It was a lot of fun, a lot of dancing. They played some games, which was funny.
Yeah.
It was a fun night. Other than that, I think, most of us were so worn out by the time we finished dinner after being out in the heat.
Yep.
And walking around. Everybody was kind of drained. Some people would go up on the sun deck, and by that time it was cooler, so it was nice to sit out there and they'd have a drink or two. And there was, though, a fellow during dinner with a violin, and
Okay.
he played the violin during dinner.
So let's talk about when you go to Egypt, you obviously want to see all of the sites. Did you find this river cruise on the Nile as a great way to do that? And let's talk about some of the places that you had the ability to go to.
Absolutely. It's a great way to go. I don't think I would do it on a bus tour because the stretches in between, I don't think you'd see as much. And they were telling us we saw a large number of other ships, other boats on the Nile, which were local. And apparently they do 3 and 4 day runs, the same from Luxor down to Abu Simbel, like we were going.
Right.
And then back. How can you see all of that in 3 or 4 days? It's crazy.
Yeah, no, I have to tell you, that 7-day period was probably the most packed 7-day period. They packed so much into that period that you're going to see. It was amazing. And you're right. These other ships that are going by and they're doing the same basic itinerary in 3 days, there's just no way. There's just no way you could see it all.
They can't. They can't possibly.
You'd be at a place for 5 minutes and you have to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, they pack a lot in. Yeah. I mean, each day you were up fairly early. You saw a lot. You experienced a lot.
So you get to visit various temples like the Temple of Horus, Valley of the Kings, Karnak. I believe we did.
For me, the most outstanding one was Abu Simbel. Right. And I mean, it was just, breathtaking. And
tell me a little bit about Abu Simbel. Did you, if I remember right, that's an optional excursion that you actually have to get off the ship and fly there.
Yes, it was actually kind of fun
It was, yeah.
flying there. But yeah, the flight was only about 45 minutes.
Yeah,
So if you're not,
it's almost like taking a bus.
and
And
then from there we went straight over to
yeah,
Abu Simbel. And if you've seen the movie Death on the Nile
yes,
by Agatha
yeah,
Christie, and she shows them at Abu Simbel with the two columns there, the two statues.
yeah.
I mean, it is so big. It's so impressive. Yeah,
And
that was my favorite.
and the other thing about it is what's impressive about Abu Simbel is the fact that they moved it.
Yes, they moved it back because the ocean was coming in,
Yeah,
and
they flooded part. They were going to flood
yeah,
part of the Nile there, but with a
yeah,
dam. I believe it was the Aswan Dam, and in order to
yeah.
preserve that, they back I think in the 60s they actually moved that whole
That's it.
site back
Yeah,
further up.
they took it apart. They took it
Yeah,
apart in pieces
yeah.
and then reconstructed it
Yeah.
back further.
You've got all the history involved with it, plus this interesting history that's just recent. It's amazing. Now you mentioned
Yeah,
that you flew there. It is possible to get off where you get off and actually drive there, but it's probably 4 hours there and 4 hours back. So it makes for an extremely
exactly.
long day. That's why with AmaWaterways,
Yeah,
they build it in the they include a flight so to get you there. It allows you more
yeah,
time there, and it's a much more
yeah.
comfortable
And
experience.
it was an additional, I think it was 395 US per person for
Yeah.
that. But you know what? If you've gone that far, spend the money. You have to go and see it. You'll be sorry if you don't do it.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
A couple of other things that we did, which I really enjoyed, is we went to the old Cataract Hotel in
Oh, did you?
Luxor. Yes, we did. And they showed us the suite of rooms that Agatha Christie stayed in when she was writing Death on the Nile. And boy, beautiful. Oh my goodness, it was so nice to see in the bathroom with all the old fixtures and the gold and everything. That was really nice. And then we went out onto the terrace and we had high tea
Yeah.
service and sitting there next to the Nile as the sun went down. It was such a moment. I get goosebumps now, but it was such a moment to be doing that. It was fabulous. But
Oh,
it's those experiences that you have along the way that
yeah.
you remember. The other one was when we arrived back into Cairo at the end of it. Is the only cruise line that has ever gotten permission to go into Abdeen Palace, which is a working palace. And we were able to tour part of the palace, and oh, it is beautiful, just stunning. And then we had lunch in the palace. You know, they're the only ones who've gotten permission to go in and do that. So that was also a really spectacular moment.
Yeah, there's just so many things about it. So definitely you'd recommend if folks are considering Egypt that a river cruise is a great way to go and AmaWaterways is a good choice.
Most definitely. I mean, we are on buses for short times, but you know, going back to your ship at the end of the day, it's just special. You know, it's
Well,
like going home.
exactly. And I'm not sure where your stateroom was on board the ship, but ours was at water level. And it was just fantastic. You come home. First of all, one thing that we didn't talk about is the ships are air conditioned. Is you could
Yeah.
just lay in your bed and open your French balcony door and watch the river go by.
Yes.
It just absolutely amazing. So I have to know, Lola, did you happen to know experience the Nile pirates?
Oh, yes. Yes. That was fun. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, when we were in Vietnam, we had some come up to the ship
Yeah.
and you know, they were asking you to try and sell you things and throw stuff up.
Yeah.
But here, they actually link onto the ship, to the boat,
Yes, as
and
it's
the
going down the
boat
river.
pulls them along. I mean, they were on each side and on the
Yeah.
back,
Yeah.
and they're trying to sell you, you know, the galabeas and
Yeah.
all kinds of trinkets and things, and they throw them up on deck. They've got a great arm, I'm telling you.
It's negotiation on steroids.
I know. I know. It's, you know, just to watch it was a lot of fun.
It was hilarious. I was actually in our cabin when it started, and a guy come up and threw something right in the cabin, and I threw it back to him. And he said, "Oh, you don't want to know." Fortunately, he caught it, and they're pretty good at that. But
Yes.
People would throw stuff up, and then
Yeah.
other people on the top deck really didn't have. Some of them didn't have the best arm, and they throw it and it'd wind up in the river, and he'd lose it, and then the guy get
Yep.
mad, and
Yep.
it
Yep.
was just hilarious.
Yeah, we had some of that too. There were a
Yeah,
few things that went into the river.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, that was so much fun. That
yeah.
was funny.
A fun
Yeah.
experience. So, how did you wrap up the river cruise?
Well, that was on our last day was when we had when we flew back to Cairo from Luxor, and then we went straight from the airport to Abdeen Palace, had the tour, had lunch, and then headed back to the hotel, and everybody was able to just relax and get ready for your flight home.
Perfect,
You know,
perfect. Now, the one thing we
yeah.
should mention, you talk about where we had lunch. Some of these lunches are pretty amazing, right?
Oh, yes. Now
Yeah.
with
Like,
George being born in Cairo, he's used to the cuisine. And on board the vessel at lunchtime, they did have a small section that was local cuisine, and then they had the North American style cuisine.
right.
You have to try some of the local cuisine,
I agree.
Oh, and the one night, if you go to the chef's table,
Right.
it is local cuisine. If you have somebody who's never tried the local cuisine, that's a lot of fun.
So, tell me a little bit more about the chef's table. What's involved with that? I don't recall that we had that.
There's a room at the back,
Oh, yes.
and it only seats, I think we squeezed in 18
Yeah.
people at a long, long table. Yeah.
Actually, now that I think of it, yes, we did, and we were
Yeah.
fortunate actually to have 2 nights there. It was fantastic,
Yeah.
and the cuisine is local and really good.
It is very, very good. You know what? It's not the ship that you're sailing on, how beautiful it is,
Yeah.
or
No,
it's the atmosphere that you're in, and it's the experiences and the people you meet.
exactly.
That's what makes the trip.
It's the atmosphere, just as you
Yeah.
said, the people you meet, and the team that kind of puts it together, like the
Yeah.
Egyptologists and your
Yeah.
cruise manager and the people on board. That's what makes it.
Oh, yeah. Alma did a fantastic job.
Yeah. Well, Lola, this has been great. Is there anything else you might like to add about this Egypt and the Nile before we wrap up?
I think, if you haven't considered it, do it. It was safe. Don't be afraid of going to Egypt. At no time did we feel that we were in any jeopardy or did we feel uncomfortable at all. At all. It was just very, very safe. So that's a major thing to keep in mind.
So basically, if this is on your travel to-do list, go ahead and do it because
Go ahead and do it. Even if you don't end up booking through us, give us a call. We'll give you all the details. We'll tell you everything we know about it. I would love to get more and more people going to Egypt. It's a wonderful
just to
country. It's a
experience it.
wonderful
Yeah,
experience.
I couldn't agree
You
more.
know,
So, Lola, if
yeah.
somebody wanted to reach out to one of your team about this cruise or another one, how would they do that?
I think the easiest thing to do if you go to one of our sites, www.hookedoncruising.com, it will feed you into our Oakville office or to the Lawrence Park office or even our Niagara team.
Okay.
So I think that's the quickest, easiest.
Sounds great. I'll leave that contact information in the description for the folks that may want to reach out. But as always, since I like to live vicariously through all the travels of all the wonderful people I get to meet on this channel, I have to know where you and George are off to next.
We are taking our grandchildren on a river cruise over New Year's.
Are you? That's
We
different.
are. So we want to give them a taste of what Europe is like.
Oh, fantastic. How old are
Very
the
excited
grandchildren?
for that. 20, 18, and 14.
20, 18, and 14. Well, I'm going to have you back we'll do a review of that New Year's river cruise
Yeah,
to hear about the weather. And I'm particularly interested to hear about the reactions of the grandkids. How's that sound?
I would love to do it. They're so excited.
Oh, wonderful. Well, that's perfect. With that, I'm just going to wish you and George safe and happy travels on all your future destinations and cruises. May the wind always be at your back. And I hope to see the two of you on a sun deck of one of AmaWaterways river ships sometime in the future.
I would love it.
Take care.
You too.
And that about wraps it up for today, folks. A very special thanks to my guest, Lola Vassiliadis of Cruise Holidays of Oakville, If you'd like to reach Lola or one of her team, I will leave her contact information in the description. If you'd like to reach us with a suggestion for a future video or simply a question, you can send a question to questions@realtravelexperts.com. Visit our website, realtravelexperts.com, or simply leave a comment. We always respond. And as always, folks, if you enjoy this content, a like, subscribe, share, and ring of the bell is certainly appreciated and helps folks like you to find this channel. So until next time, happy travels.